please.
Robert Beaver.
Here.
Betty Bruce Mallett.
Yes.
Kristen Kress. Here. Craig Grella.
Here.
Justin Herder.
Here.
Richard Merton.
Here.
Linnea Miller.
Here.
Gordon Shallow. Charles Fargo.
Here.
This May 20th, 2019 meeting of the Midstate Technical College Board and all other meetings of the board and/or its committees is open to the public in compliance with state statutes. Notice of this meeting has been sent to the news media and designated persons in an attempt to make citizens of the Midstate Technical College District aware of the place, time, and agenda of the meeting. Open forum. The open forum is at the option of the board chairperson, and ground rules may be established in order to ensure the orderly conduct of business. Please keep in mind that this is a meeting of the district board open to the public and not a public hearing. Persons who wish to address the district board may make a statement as long as it pertains to a specific agenda item. Individuals should not expect to engage in discussion with the members of the district board. The district board chairperson may or may not respond to statements that are made. And then we'll move on to the approval of minutes from our April 15th, 2019 regular meeting.
Also move.
Second.
Okay, and then all those in favor of passing, say yes. Those against, say no. Okay. Consent agenda, which includes the payment of bills and payroll, contracted services agreements, and the procurements for goods and services. And for this, we'll need a motion and a second to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Robert Beaver.
Yes.
Betty Bruce Mallett.
Yes.
Kristen Kress. Yes. Craig Grella.
Yes.
Justin Herder.
Yes.
Richard Merton.
Yes.
Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Fargo.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to the reports and recommendations section. And I want to welcome everybody to our meeting this evening, and Gordon has asked to be excused. The Summer Boards Association meeting will be held July 18th through the 20th in Rice Lake. The in-service presentation will be on boardsmanship, and those interested in attending should contact Angie for the proper arrangements to be made. The Springboard Advance was held Thursday, May 9th at the Marshfield campus. And would anybody like to make a couple comments about our day together there?
I thought it was a very good meeting and a good day, interesting day.
Good discussion.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
was, excellent discussion. And I couldn't find my Carver book.
You couldn't?
I have it. You want it?
No, I was gonna bring mine so you'd have a copy.
Oh, no, I have it. I ripped a couple pages out.
Probably autographed.
I probably do.
Are we moving to that?
Yo, Chuck.
They were gonna have a little fun with you, Betty.
All right, thank you. Our July board meeting. As a reminder, the annual organizational meeting will be held on Monday, July 8th. In previous years, to accommodate the organizational meetings of other organizations in which our board members serve, the meeting start time was moved forward. Is the board interested in using this process again this year? Okay,
Yes. Yes.
and then if we're in favor, we can utilize a 3:30 start time for committees.
3:30.
3:30 is what we've done prior years. Does that work for everybody? It'll be July 8th, the second Monday of the month. Okay, sounds like we're good to go there. The next meeting dates, the next meeting will be held on Monday, June 17th, 2019. We will be meeting here at the Wisconsin Rapids campus. Committee meetings will begin at 4:15 PM unless otherwise announced. Committee of the whole will be held at 5 PM, and the regular meeting will begin at 5:20 PM. Okay, and then next, we're going to move on to our Midstate Foundation Liaison Report. Looks like we have
She's here
Jill
in person again.
Here comes Jill.
She's here.
Unless, Betty, you want to do it.
No.
I'll let you. You can fill in the blanks,
Blanks?
right?
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. The foundation is in full swing of event mode for the summer and so forth, and I wanted to update you. As of this morning, we have about $30,000 in sponsorship and participation for our 4 events that are happening, which is our golf outing at Lake Arrowhead on June 11th, our golf outing at Sand Valley's Par 3 course on August 7th, our trap shoot event on September 6th, and then our scholarship reception. So we're ahead of the game on sponsorships and so forth. We have 14 teams currently signed up for Lake Arrowhead. There's still room for more, so if you want to gather a team together, we'll be welcoming you with open arms. It should be a day full of fun. So thank you very much, and thank you to the district board for your continued support of the foundation with your sponsorships and your team participation and so forth. We greatly appreciate it, so thank you very much.
And it's not gonna rain.
It's not gonna rain, I've already ordered it. Sunshine and 80. I have the bug spray and sunscreen to go. Our scholarship window opened for our fall semester new and continuing students. That will close on June 21st. We have over 100 students already apply for scholarships in the first 10 days that it's been open, so that's really good news. So we're hoping for a record number of students applying for almost the $250,000 worth of scholarships this next semester. So we're really excited about that. Activities and updates, the foundation board approved our gift acceptance policy. It's been a long time coming. That will go to ELT tomorrow to discuss how we're going to implement the procedural part of it with the college and so forth. But that's really good news because we looked at all potential gifts and how we would handle that to the college and how we can support the college's mission through donations into the foundation. So that's really awesome. The foundation directors are meeting for our spring meeting, the end of May 30th and 31st. That was scheduled back in March. However, we had that snowstorm and ice storm, so we had to postpone it. So we're finally, the foundation directors of the 16 technical colleges are getting together later this month. And that's always a great wealth of knowledge and input and team building to share ideas with each other. On sad news, I don't know if everybody heard, but Greg Krangs, who has been a longtime board member of the foundation, he has served with our foundation board since 2009 and passed away May 6th of a heart attack on his land out in Jackson County. He was a 1986 alumni of our Mid-State Accounting Associate's Degree program. He had worked for Solaris for over 30 years, and he will be greatly missed. I had the opportunity to talk to his wife on Friday, and she's setting up a scholarship in his name. So I just wanted to share that information with you. And that's all I had for you. Do you have any questions for me?
We're good.
Thank you.
Questions? All right, thank you very much. Okay, next we'll move on to the president's report with Dr. Monday.
Thank you, Justin. Just a few things. Since our last board meeting, that was on April 15th, there's been a number of off-campus and on-campus activities and events, so I thought I would just mention a couple. So for off-campus, Midstate attended the Adams Chamber Banquet. That was on April 18th. It was a wonderful event, and it was so nice because Chuck and Bob was able to join us. It was really nice to hear about the activities that are happening in that area. We have had a number of community visits taking place in all of our around our campus locations. We've had recent visits with Nine Dragons, Point of Beginning, Altenburg Farms, and Skyward, just to name a few, really to update them with what Midstate is doing and talking about how we can partner and really just talk about how we can serve the district together.
Point of beginning.
Point of Beginning is a civil engineering firm in the Stevens Point area. For on-campus, we held 2 of our campus advisory meetings. We had our Adams meeting, and we also had our Stevens Point campus advisory meetings. Both were well attended. We had over 30 individuals from the community. Thank you to Kristen and Bob for attending those meetings. I don't know if you have any comments, but well attended. Good conversation, talking about really the progress that Midstate is making. The spring semester campus conversations were also held at all of our 4 locations. So campus conversations is a time when I go out and basically have a time where employees and staff can just come down and we sit around the table and really say what's on your mind, and I provide some updates. And we had over 100 people that attended campus conversations. So just another way for me to be able to connect with staff and continue to hear what's on their mind. That was something that we started over a year ago, and we do that each semester. And always have a couple of times at each of the locations where we usually do a morning and afternoon, and just a great time again to sit down with staff. I also held my annual student, I shouldn't say annual, we do it every semester, student listening session, where I sit down with students and talk about how they're feeling about Midstate, and that always provides great insight on some things that maybe are not on my radar and some things that are. So I think, Vic, you were part of that, which is one of our student ambassadors that you're going to be meeting. So just, I walk away being more educated than ever, and that's a good thing. At our Adams campus, we did have the Higher Learning Commission came on site. We had our visit. Our preliminary information from the reviewer was kudos to Midstate. Really a thank you to Lori Inda, who's our dean down there, and Beth Ellie, who arranged the day. A thank you to Chuck and Bob again for being able to be there. I think she definitely saw the community support. She saw board support. She saw our staff and very much supporting the students. So we're very optimistic that we will get a letter that will say that that is the last step towards really being able to have our Adams campus be a campus. So excited about that. Jill had mentioned that on April 24th, the Midstate Foundation Committee approved the formal gift acceptance policy. There was a lot of work that went into that. A thank you to Betty for also spearheading that with the foundation. That again, what that allows is if someone a donor wants to give cash to the college, they would want to give real estate to the college, if they would want to give equipment to the college. It's just a way that we say this is how we're going to treat that donor and how we would accept that gift. So just something that we wanted to make sure that we had a formal policy to really show how we're going to do that. There have been a number of semester end activities such as nursing pinning, paramedic graduation celebration, a new faculty year-end celebration. We have our law enforcement academy graduation this week. And yesterday was a very special day where we had our spring commencement ceremony. And I think there's a couple pictures that we wanted to show you. Many of you were there, 4 of you were there. So I would love to hear what you thought about it, which, if you remember, you had supported changing the venue where we would bring all of our 3 ceremonies together. We decided to try to have it at a business partner, and Century World was our venue that was chosen. Just a good day had by all. We had over 2,000 people that attended. Most of the comments that I have received via email and just talking to people was thank you. It was all that they thought it would be and then some. But please, any of the board members that were there yesterday, I would love to hear what you thought.
I thought it was a beautiful event, just well staged, well run, just awesome. The only concern I had, and I think it was just for us up on the stage, was
Yes.
the echo was hard to understand the people talking, but from what I heard in the audience, they didn't hear that.
That's
That
correct.
it was much clearer to them.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time hearing a lot of time anyway, so I couldn't understand most of what was said at the podium that was.
Right there, yes. And they actually had warned us, I know Brad, you had when we were coming on to the stage, that would be an echo for us to hear, but they reassured us that nobody else would be hearing that. I know speaking, having that echo, that was a little hard. It would be easy to get off track a little bit, so you had to concentrate on your words. But yes, I believe from the audience standpoint, it was beautiful. I know the additional screens that they had put in halfway down, I heard was exceptionally good for the people way in the back, because honestly, when you walked in and you saw the venue, my first thought was, oh my gosh, I hope we have a lot of people, because there were a lot of chairs. But I think it worked well. So, any other thoughts?
I think, thinking about the planning that went into it, and
Natasha there
Natasha's
and
here.
Mandy, the ELT, yeah.
and for Midstate to even bring your own chairs for the students, to have the color coordination it's just mind-boggling that every little detail was taken care of, and it went off
Thank you.
superbly.
Yes, and publicly, really,
That's right.
Natasha
That's
is
right.
here. Natasha Wavier, I mean, she really was the main coordinator, had support from many people, but it was her, and it was her detail. And when we talked about this vision that we had, just an outstanding job, Natasha, outstanding. I think for most people, they never would have thought that this was a new venue for us. But this was big for us. People, we had a mid-state presence yesterday very much, and you had to feel it. It was there. so.
I think for like the graduates and their families, everyone was smiling. I didn't see anybody look disappointed. They all looked like it was just the greatest thing. And it really was well done. So Natasha, good job.
Great job, very exciting day, yeah. Everybody was happy, all the smiling faces coming across the stage. It was great.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your support. I know coming in as a new president, definitely I have brought a number of things to you to say, would you support? And this was one of those things that you took a leap of faith to say that we could do this. And this was really based on what students had shared with me and what staff had shared with me. So thank you. Thank you. For under system updates and WTCS President Association activities, just a couple of things. The WTCS State Board meeting was on May 14th. The presidents met directly following that, talked about our June planning session, which is just right around the corner. You may recall that I'm serving currently as the secretary for the President's Association. I will be moving into the vice president position and supporting the president, which will be Jason Wood from Southwest. I have been asked, because of Jason not being able to make the planning session, I will be leading the organizational planning session in June. So, we'll go right there. But I'm really excited to serve in that role and really the opportunity to represent Mid-State at that continued state level. After the president's meeting, the picture that we had shown, we were able to attend the governor's mansion, had a great conversation with the governor, and again, being able to advocate for our system. One of the things that I need to say publicly again is Layla and Morna and the whole team, one of the strengths that they bring is really aligning all of the 16 presidents and making sure that we are all advocating for the right things at the right time. And that takes a lot of time to be able to orchestrate that. And Layla and Morna, you've done an outstanding job. So feel really proud to be able to work with you. And I think the Joint Finance recognized that along with the governor. So win-win. In addition, as the president liaison, I serve as a representative to the Grants Consortium. So when all of the grants people from the 16 colleges get together, I'm the president liaison that is there to support them. So we had a meeting on May 7th and really discussed the state grant process, how we would vet grants, and really talked about what that group has done over the next year. So next year at our June planning session, we as a group of presidents again decide which president will support which consortium. So when you think of the ELT members, there's a student service group, there's an academic group, there's the grant group, there's the marketing group, and then all 16 presidents take on one of those roles. So it's been an honor to serve the grants consortium as well. I would hope that they would say that I served them well. So I've learned a lot with grants. So that's been good. And that would end my report unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to our committee reports, and the first being the Finance and Audit Committee with Chuck.
Thank you. Well, we've already addressed the consent agenda items earlier in the meeting, so I'll move into the treasurer's report. Yesterday, although the graduation was wonderful, I did get my chain, my leash yanked a couple of times. And Betty and Linnea and Justin gave me a hard time about not being in the right place at the right time, apparently. And they've given me a lot of grief, even continuing on to tonight. So I told them, payback is coming. And it's going to happen now. I know the finance report can be a little bit dry at times. So I've built in a quiz. I've built in a quiz. So pay attention, follow along.
Thanks, Betty.
Bob, can you cut him off?
This is a quiz for Betty, Linnea, and Justin,
Payback for that.
rhetorically.
Hey, I was on your side last night.
Okay, on page 27, we have budget modifications for the month of April. They're really relatively small, and the biggest numbers that you'll see is a shift. We got a grant, construction pathways grant that was a capital budget item, and we're going to request permission from the state to shift that to an operating fund. So it'll shift from Fund 3 to Fund 1, but more or less the dollars are not changing, just shifting from one category to the other. So the bottom line for the budget modifications is relatively small for the month of April. Page 28 shows the current budget for this fiscal year as amended by those minor changes. So there's really very little change on this page from the prior month. Page 29 shows the accrued revenues, current actuals, year-to-date. We've received about $1 million in revenue this past month and had about $3 million in expenditures this month. So we've recognized or seen 91% of our revenues year-to-date, but only 79 or 80% of our expenditures have been recognized or spent. Year-to-date then, our revenues exceed expenditures by $700,000. So the first rhetorical quiz question is, revenue is still ahead of expenses year-to-date
And how does that happen?
so far this year, but do we expect to end the year with revenues ahead of expenses? This is a rhetorical question, so I will answer it, and the answer is no. We expect our expenses to be above our revenues. Rhetorical question number 2. Why do we expect that expenses will exceed revenues by the end of the year?
Rick?
Tax money all came in already.
Because we budgeted it that way to spend down some of our budget reserve. We had budgeted $800,000 of use of our fund equity for the year. So that's on page 29. If we flip back to page 28, we see on the first column, General Operations and Grants Fund 1, down at the bottom, current revenue over expenses of $621,000. So we budgeted to be $800,000, to use about $800,000 of our fund revenue. We're showing year-to-date as of April, we're down $600,000. Do we really believe that we will use that much of our fund equity by year end? And the answer is no. Last month, you'll recall, Rob gave us an update of where we expect to be by the end of the year. And we won't use all of the fund equity that we thought we did. We were going to use 800,000. It's down now to 600,000 by controlling expenses and not spending money that we don't need to spend. We'll save that for another day, a rainy day type of thing, and where we need the money
Say rainy
more.
days, we've had enough of them.
Yes, we have. Yes, we're gonna get more rainy days. Let's hope it will be next spring, not this spring. Okay, that completes the rhetorical quiz. We'll move on to the next page, which is page 30. The asset page shows that our cash and investments are $21.7 million, which is 77% of our monthly maximum balance, which was in February of 2017. And Rob pointed out during our meeting that if you notice the investments column of 5.7 million is doing quite well compared to last year at 5.2 million. We hope that that good progress will continue. That concludes that part of the finance report. Any questions? Rob, any additional quiz questions you wanted to throw at him for me? Okay.
A long division or anything else, hard math?
We're not gonna say a word.
Okay, and we have one more item to address. You know, we had a few minor budget modifications for the month of April, but we've been making budget modifications for the last 6 months. And if you look at Exhibit F, we need to take board action to formalize the monthly budget modifications for the last 6 months. We'll do this again in October for the rest of the fiscal year, but Exhibit F shows the necessary budget adjustments that is accumulation of all the ones we've done over the last 6 months. And so I would move that we accept the budget amendment on Exhibit F. Do we need to read this? No. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second, and we'll have a roll call, please.
Robert Beaver.
Yes.
Betty Visignano.
Yes.
Kristen Kress.
Yes.
Craig Rosa.
Yes.
Justin Herder.
Yes.
Richard Burden.
Yes.
Leanne Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes. And I believe that completes our agenda items.
Okay, great, thank you. Next, we'll move on to the Academic and Human Resources Committee with Linnea.
Thank you, Justin. We also met earlier this evening. We had no consent agenda items, and we have 3 informational items. The first is a solar electric vehicle charging station. Vice President of Academics, Deb Stencil, presented on this. On May 10th, the Midstate held a ribbon-cutting ceremony for their newest innovation, a solar-powered electric vehicle charging station. This station is the first one available in the greater Wisconsin Rapids area. There's a picture of it. It has 6 stalls, and the length of the time it takes to charge a vehicle depends on the vehicle's charge and also the vehicle itself. So they have picnic tables out also so people can eat or do whatever while they wait for their vehicle. Study. There's no charge for individuals to use the charging station. The electricity is generated from the solar array that's producing energy. The structure was constructed by the students of Midstate's Renewable Energy Technician Program, a 2-year associate degree, providing real work-related experience. Program information is provided in a brochure rack. I don't know if you can see that, built into the structure. The electric vehicle charging station therefore provides a renewable energy model for our community, a service for community members, and information on our programs, and a learning experience for our students. Through continued contributions, Midstate plans to construct electric vehicles charging stations at our other 3 campuses, but would not be solar powered. And the money that helped provide for this was Constellation Energy Grant, Panasonic Solar, and Northwood Renewable Energy Cooperative.
Why wouldn't they be solar at the other campuses? Why wouldn't they be solar at the other campuses?
The grant funding that we have
Was just for
is
this?
for the electric charging station.
Okay.
And then one of us asked about how do people find out where it is because there's so few of them. I guess there's an app for that. So you have it on your phone, you look up where it is, and it leads you right to Midstate.
And that was partly why we had got the grant, because our instructor had noticed that there was a big gap of service in our area. So Ben Meese is the gentleman who's talking at the top, who is our just exceptional faculty member who really brought this forward, working with Jill and the foundation and writing the grant. Holding the ribbon to the left of me, looking at the screen, that is Zach Verwink, who is the mayor here in Wisconsin Rapids. And we had a current student and an alumni student on the end holding the ribbon, along with Ben. So, and then we had many staff and business partners in the back. So, and Karen, this is what I'm supposed to mention. Karen likes to let everybody know. Karen, where are you? I'm trying to think. These white sneakers, that would be Karen Brisbane. She's trying to hide, but she's so proud.
Behind Ben, I don't know how I hid behind Ben, but it's magic somehow.
Proud. She's telling everybody that's her.
I'm in the
That's
picture,
her.
that's my shoes. Right?
That's her shoes. So that's been a little bit of a joke here at the conference.
I did notice too on the graduation picture, you know, you were between 2 pretty tall guys.
Always.
I think Chuck planned that.
He did.
Any questions on the solar energy? Our next item is, sorry. I think I just said that. The Wilde update, and Vice President of HR and Organization Development, Karen Brzezinski, presented on the Wilde update. The Wisconsin Leadership Development Institute is a program that most of the WTCS colleges send employees to, both potential and current leaders to develop their leadership skills. This has been going on for about 25 years. It has a great reputation and has a lot of participation from our area, our district, because it's really focused on our kind of learning. It's not different corporations, different venues. It's what we need to do here within the education. It's a year-long program beginning and ending in June, where participants explore and hone their leadership skills through study, self-reflection, and the perception of others. And that's done by doing 360 surveys on the leadership skills. It consists of 1 week opening session in Wisconsin Dells, at which the participants do a considerable amount of self-reflection and study, which results in an annual professional development plan that they continue to work on throughout the year. A named mentor from the college and a coach from Wilde to help them work through their professional development plan, and another 3-day session in Madison in March to learn about the system office, the legislature, and how both work together. And then there's a final 1 week session in Wisconsin Dells to explore participants can use what they've learned to enhance their career in the college. This June graduating are Mandy Mahek and Colleen Kane, and our new Wilde participants starting this June would be Natasha Miller and Brad Russell. Any questions on it? No. Okay, the last one is the biggest one. Dr. Brzezinski presented on the 2019-2024 Affirmative Action Equal Opportunity 5-Year Plan, and this will be at your place. We're asking that, you know, if you have interest to read it over, we're going to talk about it this month and bring it back next month for approval.
Will there be a quiz?
I will formulate a
smart
quiz,
aleck
and it
you
won't be
get.
hypothetical.
Multiple choice.
All questions will go to Chuck.
Linnea, do you know, what do they use this for? Does the state office use it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit, and then you
Okay,
can.
all right,
Every
sorry.
5 years. each-
Excuse me.
Well, I can answer, but then I'm going to go backwards, sort of. Every 5 years, each college compiles and submits a new 5-year plan to the system office. This isn't required by the federal government for us to file, but the system has to attest to the state and the government of our plan. The purpose of the plan is to identify where our current students and employee populations do not reflect our general population, and that would be age 18 to 64, in terms of females, minorities, and disabled individuals, and then how to determine how to work toward closing that gap. And that's what we call an underrepresented area. So an example would be in 10% of minorities, you'd have 10% in the student area and 10% in the employee area. On the student side, they look at both enrollment and graduation. On the employee side, looking at all full-time employees. So in the student area, in total, the enrollment is represented by the district population appropriately. And that you'll find on page 27. On the graduation side, the minority graduation might be slightly underrepresented, and you'll see here sometimes that it will say toward some of these reports that we're not in compliance, but that doesn't mean we're in trouble. We just aren't to what they'd like us to be.
I think the other thing too is that on the enrollment side, I think all of the categories, we were actually positive, you know, slightly, but actually positive in all the categories.
And then additionally, female students in non-traditional occupations are underrepresented, but we knew that. And for this report, it's only the female students that they're talking about. On the employment side, the disabled population will appear out of compliance in all areas, and that's because the college has not measured disabilities within the staff. It's recommended by the system office as a best practice, and one of the activities that there's action plans toward the back here of what they plan to do is to implement a voluntary disability service. Some colleges do it, some don't, and it's self-reported, so it would be for a future measurement. And this data comes from the American Community Survey, and that comes from the system office. And all colleges work on the same data. So far, so good? Deb?
Okay, Chuck, it's okay?
Yeah. Among all staff, the total minority population is out of compliance, and that's no huge surprise. On both the student and employee side, they drill down into specific program groups and specific employment groups, and all the detailed reports are in the appendix to the plan. The data looked at when they develop program initiatives are employment program initiatives start on page 12. Student program initiatives will start on page 16. That's like their action plan. And for graduation, the focus is on completion of minority students, focus on completion of NTO female completion, not, as I said, not gender, just the females, and focus on completion of disabled students. And then the years in between the 5-year plan, we submit an annual update to the system office, keeping them informed of our progress. So what we talked about doing was just have you read over this, kind of read these things, and then ask questions next month before we would vote to approve.
Okay.
Okay, Bobby, now you can ask questions.
No, I stand reprimanded.
No, we'll probably get a quiz from Bob.
No. Quiz for me.
That ends my report.
Thank you.
Don't drag me into that one, too. Trouble. Okay, we'll move on to facilities and external relations with Bob.
Yeah, we didn't have any consent agenda items this month, only informational items. Mandy gave report on incoming and outgoing FTEs. And she gave us the report. At your place, you have some charts that you can look at. And it'll show that she also reported on the top 4 colleges receiving the most FTEs from Mid-State. That actually has decreased from 17 to 18, but the top 4 that receive are North Central, Fox Valley, Western, and Madison. And you can see the numbers there on the first page. The second page is from other districts to Mid-State. And you can see that we had a decrease of 33% that we lost, that went to other districts, which is good. The top 4 that we receive kids from, or FTEs from, is North Central, Fox Valley, Chippewa Valley, and Madison. Our actual number, FTEs that left are down, like I said, 33%, which is significant. The next page shows the FTEs that you lost, and out of the 8 schools are represented there, which are Mid-State, Nicolay, Blackhawk, Indian Head, Lakeshore, Gateway, and Rain Park. Last year we were 3rd. This year we're the best for losing the least. So that's another good sign. And then the net outflow of FTEs is on the last page, if you want to take a look at that as well. The top program that students leave for are nursing and nursing assistant, and she said that's largely because they can get into them on wait because of waiting lists and what have you. Electrical and instrumentation, apprenticeship, and we're adding that as of fall. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We don't have dental hygienist or the maintenance mechanic millwright apprenticeship. Top programs that they come, headcount coming to Mid-State, get our nursing, get that replacement, business management, nurse assistant, medical assistant, and electrician apprentice. So, give you an idea. It's a pretty good report.
This is so important from an academic standpoint because our hope would be as we adjust our programming to meet the needs is we want to be able to see that there's less people that are within our district that are traveling to, outside of district to get training. And to be able to see what programs that they're registering in that other district, that really has us look within and say, gosh, is this a need? So electrical instrumentation, we were seeing that there was a large number, which very much aligned with when I came in, the community said, we don't want our employees, because that's apprenticeship, to be able to drive 2 hours for a course. Why can't Mid-State do it? So that was our need, and that is why we're starting that in the fall. So really, we use this direct data to help inform Deb and Mandy as to what we should be doing. So when you're seeing that our outflow is reduced, that tells you that we're adjusting. And that is probably why you're also seeing an FTE increase, because we're using the data to help formulate where we should be going.
right now, we're the best on the net outflows.
That's
Of those
correct.
8 schools.
Yeah, those are schools. We want to be on the other page where we have net
It
inflows.
probably would be good, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. And you will see typically on that page where people are going out, those are typically the smaller colleges, which probably does not surprise you. Because it's, again, they're offering less than the bigger colleges. So if we have someone here that wants to do a program we don't have, they're gonna go to a bigger college. So typically, that's where you'll see the smaller colleges listed.
Well, and I was at Adams Friendship for the scholarship night, and we have a girl, one of the seniors, going to Western in cosmetology, and so afterwards I asked her why. She said it's because she wanted the dorm experience that we don't have here. Jill, is Jill still here? We, by the way, had one of our kids get a, what's it, tech grant?
The Tech Excellence,
Yeah, 3,200 a year for both years?
no, 2250 per year for up to 3 years for 6750.
Okay, thank you. I was impressed. That, our next item was our workforce training grants, and Bobby reported on that. The state office has $4 million a year that they give or approve in grants. She said they had a $5 million ask, so we'll wait and see, but one of the things they applied for was creating a multi-level workforce solutions station at Mid-State. 35 businesses responded with a need. They applied for $77,000, and they would serve 172 unduplicated incumbent workers to be trained. Early stages of customer service, critical core skills for success, and then some supervisory skills. The total grant and business training revenue would equal $154,000. Another part of increasing the workforce technical talent in the district, $27,427. 6 businesses responded with need. 200 unduplicated incumbent workers would be trained. And that's early stage of basic electrical welding certification, automotive AC, DC multimeter, Microsoft Excel maintenance skills, and then underskilled team leaders, getting them some management skills as well. That grant and training revenue would be $54,854. And then a part of it was expanding CNA capacity at Marshall Clinic Health Systems, and that's with Mid-State, Chippewa Valley, and Indian Head. 1 business, 21 unduplicated incumbent workers to be trained, and it would be the early stages CNA. The grant request is $47,000, and the revenue and training would be about $95,000. In total, we had 236 businesses interested in training 400 people, and we should know something by July 1, whether we get the grants or whether we don't. I was impressed. Workforce development contracts and proposals, again, Bobby reported. They booked 20,000 in April. They have 22,000 additional proposals out. And these are all new folks they're working with in that area. So that concludes my report. And again, it was impressive stuff tonight.
Bob, I can share with the housing comment. I know Mandy had just shared with the executive team. As you know, we have the new arrangement with UW Stevens Point, where we were starting with 20 beds. And I believe currently on our list, we have 17 interested people who, so I mean, we're all, and it's early. So I think that only shows that that dorm is a big deal, and people are making decisions based on the housing. So I think entering into that agreement with UWSP, that will serve our students well.
I'm done. That's mine. Concludes my report, Jay.
And then we'll move on to the committee of the whole report. We had 2 items that we discussed this evening. The first was the District Boards Association visit. Wisconsin Technical College District Boards Association Executive Director Layla Merrifield provided the board with an update on advocacy efforts for the Wisconsin Technical Colleges. Overall, a great conversation was had with Layla and the board concerning legislative activities on behalf of that Wisconsin Technical College system. Just to highlight one of those activities that did occur last week, the Joint Finance Committee did hold an executive session last Thursday, May 16th, on the budget for the Wisconsin Technical College system. And they did approve a historic $25 million increase in general aid for college operations. Prior to the vote, legislators from both parties pointed to the remarkable outcomes for graduates and employers that are produced by technical colleges across the state. Each college should be proud of their work to put student success first and the impact they have each day in their communities, and the fact that policymakers recognize the impressive return on investment state taxpayers receive from our colleges. I thought that was an excellent statement. So thank you. The next item that we did talk about was the FY20 proposed budget. During a special meeting held on May 6th, administration presented details of the proposed FY20 budget to the Finance and Audit Committee. The committee affirmed administration's proposal and directed administration to present it in summary during the May board meeting, which was tonight. Vice President of Finance and Facilities, Mr. Rob Fish, did provide us with a summary of the budget changes and highlights, and a narrative and other documents were shared during that special budget meeting, were also mailed to the board prior to tonight's meeting. With that, we do have a resolution that the board needs to vote on this evening. In Exhibit G in our pamphlet, I would move that the resolution to publish the 2019-2020 budget be proposed.
I'll second.
Okay. Then we have a motion and a second.
Robert Beaver,
Yes.
Betty Bruce Miller,
Yes.
Kristen Kress.
Yes.
Craig Gerlach,
Yes.
Justin Herder,
Yes.
Richard Martin,
Yes.
Lenny Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Thank you. And with that, that concludes my report from the Committee of the Whole. And now we will move on to our discussion and action items. And the first being our student ambassador.
Yes, we have someone that we want to introduce you to, so I'll turn over to Mandy, who I think will do the formal introduction with Natasha.
This is Bikram Gill, who is actually a very recent, yesterday graduate of our business management program.
Yay, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And he's also our state ambassador this year. So he has represented our district at the state ambassador meeting and banquet down in Wisconsin Dells this year in April. And Vic has been very involved with the college and student life and many other things. He has worked with HR as a student worker and really has represented the college well and has had a great experience. So he is going to talk about his the experience that he has had with the college and how Midstate has really impacted him. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. I guess just like a little backstory about me, I am from Superior, and I came to Stevens Point in 2010 to do my freshman year at UW Stevens Point. I was not successful there. I lived in the dorms. I loved living in the dorms, but a little too much, yes. I actually became, a daily drug user, and it pretty much spiraled out of control for about 5 years. I had a second attempt at UWSP in 2014 and did not succeed again. So, it all came into culmination, and I basically hit my rock bottom in 2016. But I applied for school, so I had to take 2 years off at UWSP. They wouldn't let me come back after a second suspension. So I applied to Midstate, and I started in the summer of 2017. I took one class, and I had experience as a department manager at McDonald's in Wausau. So I picked business management as my major, as my program. A lot of that had to do with kind of what my dad expected of me, like parental sort of things. So I just sort of picked it at random, to be totally honest. I was like, okay, I'll just do this. And I instantly found that the instructors at least the instructors that I had, were just phenomenal. They were very attentive, and they made learning very interesting and fun, and it was rarely boring. Their examples and it was all very relevant and very relatable, and the small class sizes were awesome for me because it felt like a conversation I was just having with the instructor about the subject matter. And for me, I'm, typically in any given class, I'm probably the most outspoken. So, it was just kind of like it felt very one-on-one, and I loved that. So for my first year, I just did my classes, and then I was actually collecting unemployment at the time, because I was unfortunately let go from a job as the office manager for a small construction company. I believe I was subject to a little bit of nepotism in the situation, so I was like, well, I'm gonna see if I can get some money elsewhere. So then it ran out in the summer of 2018, so I found myself basically broke and still a student and having to pay for my rent. So I looked on the website, and for student jobs, and I found campus representative and student ambassador. So I applied for both. I interviewed for both. I was basically given the job of campus rep, and student ambassador, I was more of like a stand-in or like a backup, I guess. Like at first I wasn't really officially a student ambassador, but because I didn't have any other jobs, I did a lot as a student ambassador. So I may have even been like the most involved of the student ambassadors, because I was like, yeah, I'll work here, I'll work there.
You did an amazing job. An amazing job.
Thank you. So, at first it was just like coffee with counselors, and I would, stand in the hallway at the Point campus, and I would be like, hey guys, come and get some coffee and donuts, and like it was fun, and I was like, wow. And then, when there's nothing to do, I just did my homework. So that was a really, really good first way for me to ease into working and being involved at Mid-State. Then shortly after that, I agreed to go to Madison for Wisconsin Student Government as one of the delegates. My very good friend was our student governor, our college governor, and is now the WSG president. So I think that's really awesome that that person is from Mid-State, and she's a really good friend of mine. So, so I went to Madison. We had to, advocate for more resources and funds, and I really, I like politics these days. It's interesting to me. So to be in the thick of it, even though it was just kind of at the state level, was very fascinating to me, and to know that, I was actually affecting, change for higher education, which over the past 8 months, I've become extremely passionate about. I did a similar thing in high school, and it was basically like mock lobbying. So to be actually doing it, for real was really cool. And anytime I could go to a conference and meet other exceptional and motivated students, I really loved those experiences, because I always learned something from them. I always learned how to be more assertive, professional. I think that was probably my favorite part about student life, is I got to, meet more like-minded students, and I always learned something from them. So, and then I interviewed to be the Mid-State State Ambassador, and that was another example of that. We had leadership workshops, some team building and networking, and basically I feel like when I'm at Mid-State as a student or a student worker, I'm constantly networking. So that was pretty easy for me to do.
When did your state ambassadorship start?
It started, I guess, like April 24th, I suppose.
Of this year?
Yeah. So that was the conference and the banquet. So I guess I'm the state ambassador till April of next year. And, you know, that is, you know, the highest, I guess, the highest honor that I've received here, to be chosen to represent the entire college, you know, and I really, really enjoyed that conference. I got a chance to tell my story, you know, kind of like I am now, but, another part of what I do is I'm extremely involved in Narcotics Anonymous in this area. So that includes Stevens Point, Wisconsin Rapids, Marshfield, Wausau, Nakusa, like it's the whole north central area. And through there, I also do stuff on the state level too. So, you know, that's kind of my main issue that I advocate for. Personally. So to be able to go to that conference and tell my story and say that, like, listen, this is where I was 2.5 years ago, and now here I am in front of all of you, like, accepting an award and, you know, this close to graduating, like, that was just a phenomenal experience. So I guess that's...
Why do you like Mid-State, Vic?
Why do I like
Why do you like
Mid-State?
Mid-State?
Well, anybody that I've come into contact with has been so, you know, warm and supportive, you know, and welcoming. I've loved working in HR. It's a hoot. That's
Oh, look at Karen. No.
that's the way to put it. Is a hoot. It's just laughter and
We just laugh.
laughter.
Just like-
A little bit of work, but mainly laughter and food.
What I've really seen, Vic, is, you know, when you're talking with future students or current students, and you talk about student life, and you do talk about the journey and the ups and downs, but you really show the good parts of Mid-State, which are so many. We don't have any bad parts, but you really, when you hear that though from student to student, you really have made a huge impact. You need to know that, and you should so celebrate every success that you have had. You represent us well.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the board would be very proud of the work that you're doing.
Congratulations.
Yeah, really nice. Yeah.
Anybody have any more questions?
Where are you going from here?
I start at UWSP in a few weeks for my round 3 at that, my bachelor's degree. Yep.
Using one of our articulation pathways?
I beg your pardon?
Using one of our pathways? Are you using? did
I
you
haven't
try credits?
chosen between communications or business yet, but I'm probably going to choose
Yeah,
business,
all right.
which,
Then
yeah,
you'll be able to
You can make your dad
seamlessly.
happy.
yes, and that's important, you know, and I will be minoring in Spanish and French. And I hope to be a part of the student life here
Yeah.
team soon, because I'll be applying for a job.
Yeah, because you have very much talked about that this whole journey that you have been on. Education is a big part of your life, and it's really helped you get to see some things, and you're hoping to be in education someday.
Yes.
So I think that's
And, you know, there's like I don't know, like a sad, or like a difficult side to education that I've experienced. So, you know, I feel like that's something that I could relate with to maybe a struggling student or someone with other, you know, vices or whatever. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. And I've already taken it upon myself to talk about student life after the ambassador conference. I kind of gave little speeches in my classes like, do you guys know about student life?
There you go.
There you go.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bless you. Okay, our second discussion item will be our new website overview. Yes. With our Director of Marketing and Communication, Kalina Steiber.
Okay. So to start off, I actually wanted to acknowledge the team. We do have 3 individuals from the team here. Anybody that's been through a website redesign project will appreciate the magnitude of an undertaking it is. And I will say that without the team, the success of this website would not be possible. So the marketing and communication team is comprised of 5 different people. We have Cole Brockman, who's our web applications administrator. Nikki Garrity, who's here. She's our content marketing specialist. We're also joined by Angie Morgan, who's our graphic design and brand specialist, and Andrew Palios, who's our newest member. He's our digital and social media marketing specialist, and then myself.
We need to have him do the walk or something.
At least like stand up or wave or
Give you a round
whatever.
of applause because.
Okay. So the need identified. At the onset of this project, the mstc.edu website was already 4 years old. I'll go through the timeline because we didn't start this project yesterday. I'm just going to say that. As a college's #1 marketing tool, we recognized that we needed to strive to have a strong and impactful web presence that not only allows our prospective students, but also their influencers easy access to information when deciding to attend college and what we hope to be mid-state. So based on 2017 Ruffalo Noel Lovitz e-expectations report, which would have been the latest data available at the start of this project, if a student has a bad experience on a college website, only about 30% will actually call the school for more information. And the #1 information resource that influences students' interest in a college is their website. So really, this is your #1 marketing tool. So if you miss the boat, you're in trouble. So to get started, we knew we needed to improve our mobile friendliness. So basically, anytime a user goes to the website via their mobile phone, we needed to enhance our technology advancements to meet new generations' expectations. As you guys know, the up-and-coming generations have a completely different expectation than my generation and the older generations. So that's a really important thing. We also needed to up our competitive edge because we were seeing more and more colleges and universities actually targeting Central Wisconsin to recruit our students. So we needed to up our game. Okay, so this is a high-level timeline just to kind of give you guys a recap of how this went down. We started the RFP process for this project back in December of 2017. So when you talk about this wasn't built yesterday, I mean, it really took a long time, a lot of extra hours and hard work went into this. In February of 2018, we picked our vendor, and shortly thereafter, in March of 2018, we started our development process. Fast forward to about a year later, in April of 2019, we went live. And then for future, we have what we call our phase 2, which is happening this summer and fall of 2019, and I'll get into more details of that upcoming. So really to make this project a success, we knew we needed 2 foundational things to happen. We wanted to make sure that we used data to support all the decisions that we made, and we also knew that we needed to meet with our key internal stakeholders to gather information. A lot of the website, mstc.edu, we manage it from a marketing and communication standpoint, but it's actually owned and operated by a number of departments within the college. So we met with every single person within the college that had a piece of this site, which was a really important part. So to gather data, so this was really our starting point here, is we surveyed prospective students, current students, faculty and staff, and alumni and donors. We also went into dual credit classrooms of our main communities and performed focus groups. And I will tell you that they were very engaging. The anecdotal information that we got back really helped drive some of the decisions that we made moving forward. We also did a competitive analysis. Then what we did is we met with every person and/or department to review their respective pages, and we asked them, is there anything you want to delete? Anything you want to modify? What do you want to stay the same? Every single page on the site was reviewed and touched, which was over 500 pages. So, preview time. Okay, so the new website, some of the bigger things that we changed. Across the top here is our brand new navigation, and what we did is we made it user group centric instead of department and organizational structure based. So future students, current students, alumni and community, employers and businesses. Included in that is we actually added a bunch of new pages. that went after our target audiences. So high school students, K-12 staff, parents and family, adult students, veterans, so on and so forth. And we added an entirely new section dedicated to our current students. Previously, they had a couple quick links here and there to hop off to Blackboard and whatnot, but really we brought together all the services that they would possibly utilize with their time here at the college and put it under one bucket. Throughout the site, you're also going to notice larger, more engaging imagery, and also scrolling. That's just the way things are going right now with website and app-based. It's all about the scrolling, so you're going to notice that throughout our site as well. It's very much a scrolling site. Okay, so also we have another big change that we made was when you access any given information. In the past site, it was one way in. What we did with the new site is we actually looked at each profile, so as a future student or current student, alumni and community, or employers and businesses, who's going to want to see what. So a prime example is continuing education. In the old site, you got to it one way. In the new site, we put it under any of the categories that would be relevant. So you'll see continuing education under future students, you'll see it under alumni and community, and you'll also see it under employers and businesses. So we didn't force people to dig anymore. We brought it to the person that's going to use it. Something that's behind the scenes that you're not really going to see with the site, but went live with the site, was what we call search engine optimization efforts, which is the first concerted effort that we've made at Midstate. Things like making sure that all the images have alt tags that properly identify the images, and then also how we name pages, the headers that we use in the pages, and that's an area that we're going to keep enhancing, and we've got some new stuff that hopefully this fall we're going to be launching, and I'll bring it back to you when I do another update. Last but not least, some of the other things that we integrated have to do with our programs, which is a huge part of our site. We have career clusters, which is something that we integrated with the K-12, and it's a statewide kind of initiative where there's 16 clusters. Right now we have programming in 15 of them, so this will change as our programs change. Previously, we didn't have any of this stuff available on the website, so now we've got a brand new area for people to identify career exploration. What do they want to do? Categorizing our programs into these different buckets. So somebody that might want to come into welding, as they read about this cluster, they might realize that there's actually a different program in that bucket that they're interested in. So you see these icons throughout the website and our program marketing materials that we print. And so that's important as people start to visually identify with our programs. And then when you actually get into a program, I'll show you digital marketing. We have our career pathways. So on each of our program pages, we actually have the path. So people coming into Midstate, doesn't matter if they're a high school student, if they're transferring college credits in, or they're returning adult, they can recognize a couple different paths they can take for each program, when they can maybe job out and come back, or continuing on to get their bachelor's degree. So those are just a couple of things that we improved with the new site. What are the next steps? So we have a couple things that we're continuing to work on for this is what we called phase 2. One being Salesforce integration, which allows data to easily be collected and stored in our CRM so that respective departments like outreach can quickly and easily access customer data. This we plan on going live this summer/fall. Second is our foundation credit card acceptance for donors. So if somebody wants to donate to the college, they can do so online. We also plan on implementing this summer and fall. And then last but not least is our CE online registration process, which is going to be a huge upgrade in how our continuing ed students actually register for classes. That'll happen this summer, and then following that is our UGRED, or what we consider a take-a-class student. So that will be coming spring 2020. It'll just improve their experience when they aren't necessarily a program student, but they just want to take a single class with us. So before I take any questions or comments, the one thing I want to say about our website is, even though we're live, I'll never consider it 100% complete. It's under a constant evolution because we need to make sure that we're serving the district appropriately and that we're also staying competitive in the market. So between now and the next major redesign, we'll just continue to evaluate the website and always enhance it as we need to. That's all I had.
It's good. I mean, I've been on it.
I have a question. How are you managing analytical data for your SEO efforts?
So actually, that's something that we are working on as a team. We're going to be meeting here in fall to talk about that, how we're going to be doing some of the reporting. Because we're so new into the game, we haven't totally established that. Actually at one of our marketing consortium meetings, so the directors got together last fall and had an individual come in and actually talk about SEO analytics and the importance of it. And so that will be something we'll be incorporating into how we evaluate the site as well.
Are there any SEM efforts as well, or are you just going as strictly SEO?
Just SEO right now. Yeah, because, so SEM, I'm not.
It's a different, like, the only reason I ask is like, I spent my first 6 years of my career in like internet marketing. So
Right.
as soon as you said SEO, my ears perked.
Yeah, so SEO is really kind of that unpaid efforts that we do on search. SEM is the paid. Some of the technical colleges do play in that game. I'm not totally there yet because I want to make sure we're effectively using the funds.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Lena.
Thank you very much. Learned a new language too, so that's good. We have another item on our agenda this evening, that's closed session.
I picked it up right away, didn't I?
That's good, that's good. The board will entertain a motion to convene a closed session pursuant with statute 19.851E, Wisconsin statutes, to discuss terms for a possible leasing agreement and any related requests for proposals that the board may require. The board may take action in closed session. Following the closed session, the board will entertain a motion to reconvene in open session to take any further action that is necessary and appropriate.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second?
Robert Beaver.
Yes.
Betty Bruschi.
Yes.
Kristen Kraft.
Yes.
Craig Grilla.
Yes.
Justin Herder.
Yes.
Richard Murphy. Linnea Miller.
Yes.
Charles Spargo.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. We'll just wait a few minutes.
Can we have
so-
Thank you.
5-minute